Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me. Run.
Hi, this is Jan Lewis. Welcome to be my guest. Today we have from Lexington, am I correct?
Yes.
Irene Hannigan. And Irene is not only an author, but she's a teacher. Okay, she used to be a principal in a school. She's going to tell you a lot of things she does. She's an artist. I mean, multiple talents. Welcome.
It's nice
How
to
are
be
you?
here. It's
And
nice
I
to be
first
here.
heard about her in the it's like a little newspaper every month, the 50 Plus Advocate. I
Yes.
pick up anything I get my hands on, and I read this. I said, "Oh, we've got to get her on." You're a teacher, staff developer, curriculum specialist, parent, and elementary school principal, and she has written this book. It's called Writing Right On: How to Make Writing a Pleasurable Pastime.
And that's not an oxymoron.
Yeah. Well, you have a writing group, right?
Yes.
Where does that meet?
It meets at various people's homes. It started in 1998 when I published a book called Off to School, A
Off to
Parent's
School?
Eye View of the Kindergarten Year. And at that time, my husband had a little get-together in our backyard, and some of my friends said, I've always wanted to write. Maybe if you start a little group,
Yeah.
maybe we could write. And that's how it started.
Yeah.
And it's now, one woman moved to England, but we have a group of people, about 8 people, who continue to come.
Oh.
And it was not really, I thought it was going to be for professional writing,
Sure.
because I was in a school system that promoted, I wrote a lot of articles about education. It was kind of this, whenever I was trying to process something, the pen came out. So I did write articles about education. But my friends didn't want to do that. They wanted to write more personal stories.
Okay. I got
And
it.
so we got to know each other, and the group still exists.
And it's in Lexington.
Yes.
Okay. Now, where did you go to college?
I went to SUNY at Cortland in upstate New York.
SUNY,
State
okay.
University. Yeah.
And you majored in...
It was education at that time. I was a teacher, elementary school. That was when it was. It wasn't the... Well, I've made peace with... Everybody was an education major.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was still going on. When I was in school, most of the girls are going into elementary ed.
Yeah.
By the time I hit college, my roommate was a funky art major, and I said, I want that. And I didn't even tell my parents. I just changed to art.
Is that right?
Thing.
Oh, my goodness.
Yep,
wow.
just changed.
So you have art in your background.
Yeah,
That's- oh.
but I didn't do anything
More for me to
professional.
talk to you about.
I know, but I didn't do anything professionally with it. But you are doing that too, right?
Yeah, but not professionally. I just, since retirement, I discovered that I have some artistic talent.
Yeah.
And it is in sketchbook. I do a lot of work in sketchbooks.
Oh.
And actually the person who did the illustrations for Write On, Laura Schreiber, who did the cover
Yeah.
and did these, what she called spot illustrations for the chapter titles, she was the one who inspired me to start keeping a sketchbook.
Yeah.
So that's what I do, and I've discovered I really like pen and ink.
Yeah.
And I meet with a group of women who I met in a drawing group. We do Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain, that book. There's a workbook.
Yeah.
So I've been dabbling with that.
I've tried doing it with my left. I can write and do things with my left hand. I'm a righty, but it's like, can you do that? It's not that hard if you, well, for some of us, but I don't know.
I am ambidextrous, I
Yeah,
am. And
yeah.
there are some techniques. I remember once taking an art class, and this was pen and ink, after we both gasped when she said, put away the pencils, and we're going to be using pen. And she had us do some things with our non-dominant hand.
Yeah.
And they were very, very free and very interesting looking, you know?
It's
just-
fun. It's,
yeah,
you
it
know
is-
what? I
it
think
is
it's
fun.
designed to slow us down a little
Yeah.
and be, I don't know, more mindful or something.
Well, it's the right brain, left brain kind of dichotomy. You need both sides of your brain.
Yeah.
But I've come to understand that you really have to activate the right side of your brain more often. That's not as critical of what you're doing. And
Even if you're a right hand.
yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean,
Okay.
it's yeah.
So start doing more with my left hand.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's that. I don't know. I mean, I
That's
do.
so
I
cool.
do. I do. Right. I do things. Everything with my. I'm left-handed, so I do things with my.
All right,
left.
now.
Okay, back
Here's
to writing.
Here's the juiciness about this book. All right. Chapter 1, what's the point of writing and who cares?
Yeah.
What's that all about?
Yeah, well, that's about You kind of, I feel, I kind of felt self-conscious when I started writing. I was a teacher, so I was schooled in the idea that if you wanted to help children to be able to write, you needed to write too. So after I had my own classroom, I was a staff developer trying to help teachers teach writing. And I think that's when I discovered that writing can be a way of centering yourself, of getting ideas. It doesn't have to be and I used to feel self-conscious about going to a coffee shop and writing. I mean, I really wasn't a writer, but I was writing, and the point of writing for me is that it gives you an opportunity to have a conversation with yourself. The publishing part of it is not the most fun part.
No.
It really isn't.
Yeah.
But the point of it is to see what forms of writing and what kind of writing might be satisfying to you, to process your life, to pay attention more to your life.
Therapeutic, right? Therapeutic.
It's very therapeutic too. Yeah.
Relaxing.
Yeah, very, very.
Do you draw in a sketchbook too, along with your writing?
Well, that's interesting that you say that, because right now I feel like I have too many notebooks. I have a sketchbook, I have a journal, I have all these. I have a writer's notebook. I have all these notebooks.
Yeah.
And it's so what I have been doing is I've been combining what I call a word photo, which I talk about in this book. I have been doing a sketch one day and then doing a free write the next day, and kind of alternating them. My friend Laura, who did the illustrations for the book, she will just draw on lined paper. If she happens to have her journal, she'll just draw. So I've started doing that as well. And
Are you abstract, funky doodling?
No, I don't do that as much.
That's
no,
what I do.
Do you?
The abstract. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't do that as much. I like to draw what I'm looking at.
So you do realism.
Yeah, but it doesn't come out to be. My husband says to me that I've developed a kind of a quirky style. I mean, I go to the farm stand and they have these little scenarios set up with wagons, and I'll do my own rendition in pen and ink, which means you can't really correct things, so it's a little quirky.
Yeah.
And sometimes I put a little watercolor there, and I really like that. They're just very quick sketches.
Oh, I wish you'd brought some with you.
Well, I do have some, so I won't give them to you right now, but maybe when we're off the air I can show you my little
It
notebook.
sounds great. So oh my gosh. The things that you're doing. Write on how to make writing a pleasurable pastime. Okay. What are you worried about?
Yeah, I think the worries when I do my courses, and I have taught a couple of courses, actually now it's been 2 courses based on this book, and I'll be beginning another one in May. But the first thing to confront is some people are worried that they're not good enough, or their ideas are going to just stink, or they're going to write something that someone else is going to see, and they're going to be embarrassed if somebody sees it.
Okay.
So there's a lot of worries that people have. And I try to help people confront those worries and try to get past them. I've defined quite a few worries in that book.
Yeah.
And then when I have had courses, I say, so did I cover them all, or are you worried about something else? And lots of times people will discover other things they're worried about. One gentleman I remember told me, he said, well, I'm worried that if I spend as much time on writing as I want to spend, I'm not going to be doing other things.
I've sensed that for
Yeah. And but for me, writing is just the way I want to live my life.
That's what you want to do.
That's what I want to do, and it's not just publishing books, but it's doing other kinds of things too.
Now, let's see. How will a word photo help you to get started?
Okay, and this is my favorite idea. I didn't do it when I first started writing.
Yeah.
But in 2010. In my writing group, one of my favorite people, Edie, came to the meeting, and it was mid-January, and she said, I've got a New Year's resolution. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take a photograph every day. And then probably to pacify me, she said, and I probably, maybe will write something off the photograph.
Yeah.
Okay, so I said, good for you, Edie. Go for it, you know. I said, now, why is she doing this? Is there a connection between photography? I kept on thinking about this, so we had a little correspondence, and we met about it. And so finally I said, I'm not going to take a photo every day. I'm going to take a word photo every day. And what that meant to me was I was going to snap a picture today. If I were doing a word photo, you'd be in my word photo, you know?
Yeah, sure.
And I would write a caption, and then I would write a couple of lines about it.
Yeah.
And I did that for the entire year, 2010. I've done it for 4 years. And I have some excerpts of some of my word photos. Some of them are not the most literary photos that you could have. I wanted them to be. Now mine are becoming a little bit more literary, and that's a goal of mine. Yeah. But it was interesting because it was a different way of keeping a journal, I think.
Yeah, I've never heard of like that. I heard art journaling, doing fun with your art and then writing some words. You could do it over watercolor.
Sure.
Put little chutskis on there and all kinds of things. That I've heard about. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But the photo, I'm not a photographer by nature. I mean, I like getting that little camera. What is it? That little 20, what do they call it? Indoor, outdoor gizmo, the pictures come out very well.
Yeah.
No complaints, but people laugh. They say, what are you doing with that? I'm like, I like it.
Yeah, I know. And I don't even have an iPhone either, so.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I just have a little track phone, like, you want to, so I can
Well,
text.
after my own.
Well, I learned to text because of my son, and this generation is this.
Yeah, right.
So I thought, oh my God, well, I've learned how to email. I better learn how to text, and that's it.
Yeah,
I'm up to here with all the technology.
Yeah.
Now,
but for me, a word photo is the connection between taking a word photo, a snapshot of something that you observe for whatever reason. And I say in the book, don't obsess about what it is that you're, just if it's whatever it is, sure. And then you'll do one the next day. But it's the friends of mine who have a camera in their hands say that they're more observant. And so if I'm looking, not when I'm looking or something, I'm just paying attention to things. And a lot of people in my courses have found the word photo a really wonderful idea.
it sounds like a lot of fun. How can people get a hold of you, get your book?
My book is available on Amazon. It's $10.
Right on.
Right on, yeah. Yeah.
If you're interested in learning how to write.
Yeah, and I also offer courses at the Osher Center at Tufts.
Now, is that in Boston?
No, it's in Medford. It's in the Medford campus. They have a satellite location at Brookhaven, which is a retirement community, because they don't have enough spaces, I think, at Tufts. But the Tufts classes are on Mondays and Fridays, and Brookhaven is on Wednesdays. And then I teach at Lexington Community Education too, and any other place that will offer me a spot. So,
yeah. And you can learn. Everybody's welcome. You come and you learn the helpful hints and tips from the wisdom you have of writing.
Yeah.
Well, okay, now, how can you start reading like a writer? Reading like a writer.
Reading like a writer or writing like a reader?
How can you start reading like a writer?
Oh, okay.
I see.
Yeah, I have two. One is the reason I mentioned about writing like a reader.
Yeah. Writing like a
reading like a writer.
How can you start reading like a wrter?
The one that chapter 4 is how to start thinking like a writer. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. Thinking like a writer to me means you start collecting ideas for writing, and that was promoted by some people in workshops that I attended, keeping a writer's notebook. And that was really the way I started writing. It wasn't writing long, anecdotes or vignettes. It was just paying attention to what was going on and jotting down examples of wordplay in the environment. It was jotting down a turn of phrase, billboards, a lot of environmental print. It's overhearing conversations. If you go to a coffee shop and one of the stories in this book called Crumb Cakes I overheard when I was at this local donut shop in Arlington, Gail Ann's donut shop, and that turned into Crumb Cakes. So jotting down ideas, I use that because I think it's important to promote the idea that people have ideas. I'm not hostile. I mean, there are lots of idea books, and those are nice. But this isn't an idea book. This is promoting the idea of writing as a process, of free writing as a way of getting ideas on paper, of keeping a writer's notebook as a way of collecting ideas that you think you might want to write about. And then the word photo is basically another way of journaling. Yeah. So the first part of the book essentially are strategies. Those are the people who come to the workshop will experiment with free writing, with word photos, with keeping a writer's notebook, and then journaling, different kinds of ways of doing journaling.
Why not start a writing group? That's another chapter. You already did.
Yeah, and you've got a book, to help you. I didn't have a book.
Was it hard to get it going?
No, it was. We didn't know what we were doing, but no, it wasn't hard. It wasn't hard because we were friends. Yeah. I mean, we still are friends, and I think everybody came because there is a built-in deadline for a writing group.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't really enforce it, and it's just kind of a joke. Now I started another writing group with another person, and we do have the expectation that everybody brings in 750 words.
750 words?
Yeah, a month.
How
not
many
a week.
pages is that?
That's about 3 pages.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not too bad. And it can be under 700, but you have to come with something.
With something.
In my writing group, the way we started, we said, no, if you don't have something, it's okay. And it was fine because that's what we wanted to do. None of us, we were all teachers.
Yeah.
We were experimenting with ideas that we could use when we were working with our 3rd and 4th and 5th graders.
Yeah.
But we didn't want people to be pressured, and it's still not a pressure group, and it still meets, and I would never want to give up going to that group.
When does it meet now?
Well, we meet once a month.
In Lexington.
In Lexington. Yeah, well, it's either Lexington or Concord or Arlington. It's people, we go to different homes. I started another one with a friend of mine from the Osher Center at Tufts, and that one is meeting once a month also at the Lexington Community Center. We have a community center there, so that's kind of nobody has to be responsible for refreshments or anything.
Well, when it comes to writing, I have an idea in my mind. I kind of came upon it at the beach last summer.
Yeah, that's when ideas
I
happen.
can see it as a movie. That's how I start out. I see it as a movie, but then I'm like, but now what? I mean, would this even fly? It's a great idea, but...
Oh, writing group, you mean?
Huh?
Creating a writing group?
No. Writing a book, writing a
Okay,
story.
Yeah.
I've got the idea, I've got the title.
Yeah.
I can see it as a movie. I have to
Okay.
be able to visualize it in my mind.
Uh-huh.
And that's as far as I get. Because I think, no one's going to...
See, now that's the censor that sits on your shoulder.
Yeah.
That's the left brain talking to you, saying, that stinks, you can't do that. And so you gotta, that has to get off your shoulder, I guess.
I know it. How, again, Irene, can they get a hold of you?
Okay, so, the book?
Sure.
Yeah, the book is available on Amazon, $10. Write On, How to Make Writing a Pleasurable Pastime, which is not an oxymoron.
Yeah.
And I'm just so excited to have the opportunity to be here with you, Jan, and to do the teaching that I've been doing.
And now, if somebody would like to have you come and speak, how would they reach you?
My email address?
Sure.
Hannigan, HANNIGAN 50 @gmail.com. I also I kind of have a Facebook page, but I have to say I'm not real good
Same
at
here.
updating
It bores me.
Yeah,
It does.
so you can find me on Facebook too,
Yeah.
Irene Hannigan. So I think that's probably, and also if you buy the book, my email address is right in the book.
There you
And
go.
if you read the book, boy, I would love to even have you carry on a little conversation with me, and that could count as your writing for the day.
You need to have a picture on the next book you put up. Have your picture down there and a cute little bio. That would be great.
I have a bio in the back.
You do? Did I miss
Yes,
that?
I have it along with,
Here it is. With your illustrator.
with my illustrator. And my illustrator, I can't say enough about her.
Irene Hannigan, she's our guest today, never leaves home without a little notebook tucked into the pocket of whatever she's wearing. As a parent, teacher, staff developer, and principal, writing has always been an important part of her daily routine.
It's true.
And you love it.
Yeah, I do love it.
So this is your thing. You don't work outside the home in any other way? This is
No,
it. This is
no.
life.
I retired in the early 60s. I loved my job. I was a principal for 12 years.
Yeah.
And then I thought I had been in education for over 40 years.
Yeah.
And so you can calculate how old I am. But I was old enough to retire.
Yeah, well, technically, but not spirit. My gosh, not emotionally, right? I mean, who's emotionally grown up?
Right. No, and so now retirement for me, my husband likes to say, he says, "What are you doing today? Where are you?"
It's like playtime.
And it's playtime, but it's productive. He says like summer camp. So I take piano lessons every other Thursday.
Wow.
And I go to a drawing group every Wednesdays. I'm very involved in the Osher Center at Tufts, either taking courses or teaching
What is
courses.
the Osher Center?
It's for lifelong learners. It's a plug for that. It's there are about over 100 Osher centers in the country, and they're always attached to some university. And it's an opportunity for older individuals to continue to learn and to grow. And the one at Tufts, I can't say enough positive about it. I love it. And they don't demand it, but the courses are taught by the Osher members or graduate students. And we have a wonderful director that has just...
Do you teach writing courses, Irene?
Yeah, and I teach writing courses
right there?
at there. Mm-hmm,
And that's in what time?
That's in Medford at Tufts University.
When are you teaching it? When's your night? Do you have to sign up long ago?
Oh, you have to. Right now I'm doing a drawing course there, but in the fall I'll be probably doing writing.
Okay.
And you have to, they get catalogs. I don't know whether it's too far for people.
We don't get them here out that way, no.
Yeah, because some people are traveling from Marlborough. We have somebody...
That's right up the street.
Yeah, it is. So he travels 45 minutes. It's just the Osher Center at Tufts University.
OSHA.
OSH.
What does that stand for?
OSHER. Mr. Osher was a philanthropic individual who gave the money for this. So it's not OSHA, it's Osher.
Osher.
Yeah.
All right. Now, what's publication all about? That gives a lot of authors a jitters.
Yeah, it is. And publication for me is, sure, everybody thinks it's the book.
Yeah.
But I try to promote the idea that there are other ways of publishing, and what I do is I think about a gift of words. And by that I mean things that you can make. For example, when my son graduated from high school, I collected all my little writer's notebook entries about him, unbeknownst to him, of course, that I was writing little things. And they weren't, they were just little anecdotes, stuff like that. And I put together a little book for him with pictures, and it was, and you had to be careful of, and my husband wasn't sure I was doing the right thing. But my son Ted received it beautifully. He said, "Mom, how could you think I wouldn't like this? This is a story of my life."
Yeah.
And it was just little snippets of. I didn't bring a sample of it, but I have some excerpts from in here. Yeah. When my sister passed away in 2010, and that was when I started the word photos, I didn't realize that she was going to die in 2010.
Awfully young on it.
But she did, and she was only 57 years old.
Oh my gosh!
And that whole year, I was snapping little snapshots of her in various places that I remembered we had been to. So on the year anniversary of her death, I put together, I think there must have been about 35 little word photo snapshots. And I put them together in a book that I took to the local copy place. I put some, I wasn't really drawing too much then, and I couldn't have been able to illustrate that, but I just did some clip art. And then I gave it to a very good friend of hers, to celebrate my sister's life, and then I had all of my word photos in one place, and that was a present to myself. For Christmas, I've done some poems, and I've given them to my husband and son.
So you
as
write
a
poems
present.
too?
I try. I mean, they're not ready for
my-
prime time, but yeah. When I started talking about it, I guess I have done a lot, and that's retirement for me.
That's and
It's
your
another
husband can't
life.
keep up with you. Where are you going to be today?
Yeah, right.
You know what? I have in our kitchen. I take poster board. The kids do stuff, and so I buy poster board over Walmart.
Yeah.
And what I do is I'll bend it in half, cut it, and make a huge calendar in the kitchen. This is what's coming on. This is what's going. With me, it's pretty easy where I'm going to be, though.
Well,
It's going to be a bookstore. It's going to be another store. It's going to be a library. Doing whatever,
because you're working, right?
Yeah,
you're not retired.
I don't think I even know what that means.
Yeah.
Don't you know what it is? I had two parents who were in their 70s, and they were like they were lovebirds, and they're a couple of kids, and they were like the Energizer Bunnies together.
Oh.
My father went back into sales after being an entrepreneur, and he'd been in sales before. And then my mother, she didn't stroll around the block; she went speed walk.
Oh.
And she was just always doing. And I remember one time I wanted to go out. I was in my 20s, and we are going to go out for a walk together. She says, "Well, I'm not going to stroll. I'm going to walk. You speed walk. In other words, if you can't keep up with me, bye." Both of them, and there's a lot of high energy in my family. A lot of it, and I think a lot of them, as they got older, got more.
Isn't that interesting?
I don't know why.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know.
But, well, you know what? I think you have to. My job. I loved my job as a principal.
Yeah.
I mean, I ran the school as a teacher, and I felt really proud of that.
Yeah.
It got increasingly more difficult to do that, though, as there were a lot of demands about the curriculum standards, a lot of good things, but also a lot of dictates from on high that were really difficult. And I felt that it was just time for me to just move on to something else.
Were you dealing with
So-
that crazy, the new math? Every time you turn around, this new math. I was just talking with our guest that I was with a little boy one time, and I was helping with his math. Elementary school, what, 2 and 1 or 3, right? I said, just
very
write
different.
3.
It's very different.
No, they go to New Jersey and New York to get to it. Why?
Yeah, it's very different. It's very different.
Did you run into that? Like,
Yeah, that wasn't one of my issues because I had kind of grown up understanding that was okay. That was just the way it was.
Yeah.
It was more other kind of mandates that were being pressed on the principals that made things.
where did you teach? Where were you the principal?
I was a principal of the Chelmsford, the South Rose School, a wonderful community and a
Yes.
wonderful school. And they allowed me, as I said in my book, to be the kind of principal I wanted to be. You know, it was a great place to be. But so retirement for me was kind of picking up other parts of my life. And my husband is not retired. He's never going to retire. He's
No.
a university professor.
Oh, there you go.
And he loves what he does.
What subject?
He teaches American history, diplomatic history.
God bless him.
Yeah, he loves it. He loves his students. And
How can the writing, we get about 4 minutes left, how can the writing of others inspire you? I'm already being inspired by you.
Oh, okay. Well, what I did was, and this is a funny little story, I decided to put in the last chapter pieces of writing that were done by people in my writing group, people in the courses that I've done.
Yeah.
And I say, if you read some of these and you say, oh, I could do that,
Yeah.
well, my answer is then do it.
Well, here's your
So
crumb cakes one right here.
Yeah, and my quote is, when we read the experiences that others have shared, we are inspired to write our own.
Yeah.
The funny part about this is when someone was helping me put this together for Create Space, she said, Irene, do you realize you don't have a quote for the last chapter? I said, oh my God, I don't have a quote. So my husband's getting out the Bartlett's book of quotations, and I'm thinking, oh, there's not enough time to get permission for the quotes. So I said, I think I'll make up my own quote.
Definitely.
So
I was just going to
did
say
it.
that.
I
No one's
did.
going to know.
I did. It's my own quote.
Yeah.
And it didn't cost anything. Where the other ones, sometimes I had to get permission for the other ones. So these are all
Stories in your group.
yeah. There's some of them. There's a poem that I wrote about setting the mini-manses that are sometimes going on in my town.
Yeah.
That's called Helpless on page 149. I have some examples of the word photo entries on page
Yeah.
138. I sometimes promote writing that has been done by people in my writing group. There's a poetry on page 142. No, not 142. The one that I.
Well, we are going to have
Yeah.
to close. But we
Yeah,
haven't-
okay.
We've been
Anyway.
we're going to get you back.
Okay.
Irene Hannigan, and she is a teacher, author, artist, poetry writer, regular book writer, and this is her book, Write On, WRITE. If you're interested in learning how to write, how to make writing a pleasurable pastime. You can't miss this cover. It's gorgeous. There'll be a copy of this downstairs in the Upton Town Library, and help yourself, borrow it. And also, one more time, how can they get your book?
Yeah, on Amazon, $10.
Right, on Amazon, and if someone would like to have you come and speak, how again?
Email address is ihannigan50@gmail.com.
Fantastic. Thank you for coming with us.
Thank you. It's been such a pleasure to
we'll
talk
get
with
you
you. Yeah.
back.
Okay. Thank you.
She's
very much,
inspiring
Jen.
me because I could think about that book on my mind like, oh no, that won't
you
fly.
got to do it. You got to do it.
All right. We'll see you next time and be my guest. Good job.